Israeli-American Edan Alexander has officially been released after being held hostage for 584 days in the dungeons of Hamas in Gaza. Well, Liat Kessler of the Jewish Agency for Israel joins us now from Jerusalem with the breaking details. Liat, what was your initial reaction to Edan's release?
Yeah, I literally got goosebumps. We've been waiting for this for so many days and over a year, even over 580 days, as you said. It's truly an excitement, and we're so happy and happy for the family, happy that we're back as a community, and happy to help as much as we can.
So I know this is part of what you do, basically dealing with people that have dealt with trauma, PTSD. How on earth do you start to rehabilitate someone who's been in basically a dungeon for almost 600 days?
So I'll give a bit of background. I work at the Wings program. It's part of the Jewish Agency. It's a program for lone soldiers who have decided to immigrate to Israel. We start with the recruiting process, helping them through the army service, and mainly after they finish the army service. As the social worker of the program, I'm also in charge of anyone who has mental health issues during the war, during the army service, reserve soldiers that have gone and served in battle and are now trying to get their lives back together. I also visit injured soldiers in hospitals because their family aren't necessarily where they are. They live abroad, and the soldiers, as I said, come to serve in the Israeli war, in the Israeli army. So yeah, that's a bit about what I do. About Edan, I think the best thing for now is just to let him be with his family, let him get back to himself, to realize that he's free. That also takes like a mental state just to change, that you're not in captivity anymore, that you have control of your own body, you have control of what you do during the day. You can build a routine, and just get him back to his life, meet him up with his friends. Take it day by day, second by second, just to get him where he needs to be.
So obviously this just happened, and I know you probably haven't talked to too many people, but what's the feeling in Israel of this really amazing news? To be honest,
yeah. So I think we're feeling that it should happen more, and we are full of hope and blessings towards the 58 that are left, and it should be done now. It should be done tomorrow. Everyone should be back in with their families, with their loved ones, back at home, back in their routine, back in a safe environment. And for us as an Israeli society to get back into our lives. We've been living in this war for over a year and a half, and each one should just go and have a regular routine without worrying about our brothers and sisters in captivity.
So as someone who's dealt with, again, PTSD, trauma a lot, let's say you were in charge of taking care of Edan. What would be kind of the first steps? I know you kind of mentioned the let him, rest, but what would be those initial first steps in those very first hours? And let's say you were in charge of that. How would you handle that situation?
So I know a few of my colleagues, a few of my social work colleagues are the first ones to meet the hostages when they come back, and they make very basic options for them to choose from for the people that have returned from Gaza. For example, they can get to choose what they want to wear after they shower, give them like the first steps of getting back their control over their lives. So I would just focus on that. Give him as much opportunities as possible to gain back the control over his life, over his decisions. Because as you know, being in captivity, you have someone who's in charge of you all day, telling you and bossing you and telling you what to do. So just getting him the coping mechanisms and gaining back his trust in himself that he's able to do those tasks. And
well, you mentioned that some of your colleagues have dealt with hostages. What have they heard about the conditions? What have they heard about what it's like to be, underneath Gaza? What experiences firsthand have they been able to share that's important for our audience to understand of what exactly has been happening to these hostages, again, for 584 days?
So very, very minimal. For example, 4 people can live from half a pita for a whole day or maybe even 2 days. They live in the sewage, in the pipes, so you can understand that it's not a natural way of the human body. They're cramped up, let alone the hygienic circumstances, very minimal. No water, no food on a regular basis, with people just coming and telling you what to do and bossing you in.
Well, Liat, I can imagine today will be a day for celebration for Israelis. But while I have you, maybe one last question. You have an international audience watching. What do you want the world to know? What would your message be?
I think the message should be is that our brothers and sisters need to come back as soon as possible, so that as an Israeli society we can become whole again, and not focus on other things that maybe take our time at the moment. We should just feel together and build our home as a community. And as I said, bring the hostages home, because only then we will feel that the war is actually done itself, and that the feeling that we have won as a community, as an Israeli society. I think that's the most important thing. The hostages are part of all of us. It could be any. I mean, it could have been any of us. It's my neighbor's son. It's my best friend's ex-boyfriend, and the Israeli society is small, and it seriously could have been any of us. So as keeping that in mind, I think we should, as I said, bring them back as soon as possible, while they're still healthy and alive, because I don't think they have a lot of time left in those conditions. And yeah, just sending our praise from here.
Yeah. Well, Liat, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. No problem.